Jeep just dropped a bombshell, and the entire auto market is shaking from the impact. For years, Jeep has been seen as a brand rooted in ruggedness, off-road dominance, and iconic American culture. But what they've just announced has completely flipped the script, not just for Jeep fans, but for the entire auto industry. We're talking about a move so massive that competitors like Ford, GM, Toyota, and even Tesla are scrambling to figure out what comes next. This isn't just another model refresh or minor update. This is a shockwave that could redefine the SUV and truck market for the next decade. Here's the deal. Jeep has unveiled a bold strategy that combines aggressive pricing with cutting-edge technology, and it's already sending ripples across dealerships nationwide. Imagine walking into a Jeep showroom and finding models slashed in price by thousands, loaded with features that used to cost extra. The Wrangler, the Gladiator, and the Grand Cherokee, all of them are being repositioned as more accessible, more competitive, and more attractive than ever before. And at the same time, Jeep is rolling out electrified versions with longer ranges, faster charging, and smart integrations that push them closer to Tesla's territory while keeping that signature Jeep toughness. This is no small gamble. Jeep knows the US auto market is in turmoil. Inventory is piling up, demand is slowing, and interest rates are crushing buyers' ability to afford new vehicles. By dropping prices and boosting features at the same time, Jeep is effectively daring the competition to keep up. Ford's Bronco, once seen as the Wrangler's direct rival, suddenly looks overpriced. Toyota's 4Runner, a staple of reliability, now looks outdated. Even luxury brands like Land Rover are feeling the heat because Jeep is offering near-premium features at mid-market pricing. But here's the real kicker. Insiders say Jeep's decision isn't just about short-term sales. It's a long-term play to dominate the SUV and truck space while others are tightening belts. Think about it. While GM is cutting production and Ford is dealing with layoffs, Jeep is going on the offensive, betting big that shaking up pricing now will lock in customer loyalty for years. It's a risky move, but if it works, we could be watching the start of a massive reshuffling of power in the US auto industry. And it's not just about the US either. Jeep is eyeing global markets with this strategy. From Europe to Asia, Jeep's new pricing and product lineup could undercut competitors who rely on high margins to survive. If Jeep manages to flood markets with affordable, tech-loaded, and rugged SUVs, we could see foreign automakers losing ground faster than anyone expected. Dealers overseas are already buzzing about what this means for imports, and the ripple effects could stretch all the way back to production plants in Detroit, Mexico, and even China. Stellantis, Jeep's parent company, has been under enormous pressure to prove it can compete with giants like Ford, GM, and Toyota while also holding its own against EV disruptors like Tesla and Rivian. For months, critics argued that Stellantis was falling behind, with outdated lineups and little innovation to show. But this Jeep move changes the narrative completely. Instead of shrinking back, Stellantis is using Jeep as its spearhead brand to go on the attack. Jeep isn't just releasing vehicles, it's setting the tone for Stellantis' global vision, showing that the company is willing to slash margins in the short term to grab dominance in the long term. For American auto workers, this could be both a blessing and a challenge. On one hand, Jeep's aggressive pricing could mean higher demand, more production, and job security in plants that have been under threat of slowdowns. Assembly lines in Toledo, Detroit, and Belvidere could see a surge in activity if Jeep's gamble pays off. But here's the flip side. If Stellantis is cutting prices this dramatically, those margins have to be recouped somewhere. Insiders are already whispering about tighter supply chains, cost-cutting in component sourcing, and even possible shifts of production overseas if sales don't immediately explode. It's a high-stakes balancing act, and American workers are right in the middle of it. Meanwhile, Wall Street is watching this development like hawks. Auto stocks have been volatile all year, with investors nervous about falling demand and rising competition. Jeep's announcement is shaking confidence and optimism at the same time. Some analysts believe Jeep has just triggered a price war that could hurt every major automaker's profits, while others argue it's the smartest move Stellantis has made in years. Either way, the auto market hasn't seen a shakeup like this since Ford slashed prices on the F-150 Lightning, and we all remember how that sent competitors scrambling to respond. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Jeep's bombshell isn't just about vehicles, it's about branding. For decades, Jeep has been seen as the tough, go-anywhere choice, but not always the most practical or affordable. With this move, Jeep is rebranding itself as both rugged and accessible, a brand that doesn't force customers to choose between adventure and value. This is a repositioning that could redefine consumer loyalty. Imagine a young family looking for their first SUV. Suddenly, instead of leaning toward a Toyota or a Honda, Jeep becomes the logical choice. That's how markets shift, and Jeep knows it. Ford, GM, and Toyota are already feeling the tremors from Jeep's bold move, and they can't afford to stay silent. Ford, for example, has heavily invested in the Bronco as its Wrangler killer, but with Jeep slashing prices and piling on features, the Bronco suddenly looks like an overpriced gamble. Ford now faces a tough decision. Either cut Bronco prices, which eats into already thin margins, or risk losing buyers who see more value in Jeep's lineup. On top of that, Ford is juggling EV struggles and layoffs, meaning its ability to counter Jeep head-on is weaker than it's ever been. GM's situation isn't much better. The company has been trying to position the Chevrolet Blazer and GMC SUVs as stylish alternatives, but Jeep's move exposes them as overpriced and underpowered in comparison. GM also has the looming issue of EV delays and plant closures, which makes it difficult to launch an aggressive response. If Jeep dominates the mid-size SUV space, GM risks losing one of its most reliable revenue streams at the worst possible time. Toyota, on the other hand, has always leaned on reliability and resale value as its selling points. The 4Runner, Highlander, and Sequoia have built reputations as long-lasting family favorites. But here's the problem: those models are aging, and Toyota hasn't refreshed them quickly enough. Jeep's Bombshell makes Toyota's SUVs look dated, both in design and technology. Unless Toyota accelerates its redesigns and offers incentives, it risks losing customers who no longer see a reason to pay extra for old platforms when Jeep is offering cutting-edge tech at lower prices. What makes this even more dangerous for the competition is Jeep's timing. The auto market right now is fragile. Interest rates are high, buyers are cautious, and dealers are struggling with bloated inventories. Jeep swooping in with aggressive pricing during this exact moment is like striking when the enemy is weakest. Competitors are either going to have to match Jeep's boldness or risk watching their market share crumble in slow motion. And there's another layer here. Jeep isn't just battling automakers, it's sending a message to Wall Street, to dealers, and to consumers that Stellantis is ready to disrupt the status quo. That kind of message forces competitors into a corner. Do they copy Jeep's strategy and risk igniting a brutal price war, or do they hold steady and risk losing buyers? Neither option is safe, and that's exactly why the entire auto market is shaking right now. Dealerships are already buzzing with the fallout from Jeep's announcement. Across the country, sales managers are reporting an immediate spike in foot traffic, with curious buyers walking in just to see if the rumors about steep discounts and feature-packed models are true. Some dealerships that were struggling to move Wranglers and Gladiators just a few weeks ago are now suddenly fielding calls and test drive requests non-stop. It's not just Jeep loyalists either. Customers who are shopping for a Toyota, a Ford, or even a luxury SUV are showing up to compare deals, and that's exactly the kind of shift Jeep was aiming for. But there's another side to this story. Dealers from rival brands are feeling the pressure like never before. Imagine being a Ford dealer trying to sell a Bronco Sport when the customer just got back from a Jeep lot where they saw a Wrangler with better features for less money. Or a Toyota dealer trying to convince a family to pay more for a 4Runner with fewer tech upgrades. These conversations are suddenly much harder, and dealers are panicking because they know the average customer is motivated by value, especially in a high-interest rate environment. Jeep has effectively given dealerships a weapon against the competition, and the ripple effect is only getting stronger. Customers themselves are reacting with a mix of shock and excitement. On forums, in Facebook groups, and across automotive blogs, people are saying things like, "I was saving for a used SUV, but now a new Jeep actually makes sense," or, "This is the first time in years I've seen real value in buying new instead of pre-owned." That's a huge shift in consumer psychology, because for months the narrative has been that new cars are overpriced and unattainable. Jeep has broken that wall, and now buyers are starting to think differently about what they can afford. And here's the kicker: used car values are starting to wobble because of it. If Jeep keeps pushing brand new SUVs at aggressively low prices, the used car market could see a sharp correction. Why pay nearly the same price for a 3-year-old 4Runner when a brand new Jeep comes with warranty, tech upgrades, and financing options? Dealers who rely heavily on used vehicle sales are watching this play out nervously, because Jeep's move could pull a huge chunk of buyers back into the new car market, leaving used lots with overpriced inventory nobody wants. The EV battle is where Jeep's strategy takes an even sharper turn, and Tesla should be paying close attention. For years, Tesla has enjoyed dominance in the electric space, positioning itself as the future of mobility while traditional automakers struggled to catch up. But now Jeep is entering that arena with a very different approach, blending rugged, go-anywhere capability with EV technology that's becoming more practical and more affordable by the day. Take the upcoming Jeep Recon EV, for example. It's being marketed as an all-electric off-roader with legitimate trail capabilities, detachable doors, and a design that screams adventure. This isn't just another family EV crossover, it's a direct shot at Tesla's dominance, proving that electric vehicles don't have to be limited to sleek city commuters. Jeep is bringing EV tech into the outdoor, adventure-driven lifestyle market, a space Tesla hasn't truly touched. And then there's the Wagoneer S, Jeep's electric luxury SUV aimed squarely at the Model X and Rivian R1S. If Jeep nails the pricing here, Tesla suddenly has a rival offering premium range and features but with Jeep's legacy of ruggedness and off-road credibility. What's more, Jeep's decision to undercut prices on its gas-powered vehicles could spill over into its EV lineup. Imagine walking into a dealership and finding that a brand new electric Jeep costs thousands less than you expected, loaded with features that Tesla usually charges extra for. That could disrupt Tesla's entire model of pushing higher margins through software add-ons and premium trims. Jeep is making affordability and ruggedness its EV calling card, while Tesla has leaned into minimalism and status. Those are two very different strategies, and if consumers start flocking to Jeep, Tesla may be forced into the one thing it hates most, a price war. And let's not forget, Jeep has a massive dealer network across the US, something Tesla has never embraced. This means Jeep can put EVs in front of buyers who may never have even considered Tesla, especially in smaller towns and rural areas where Tesla's infrastructure is thin. Combine that with Stellantis' push for nationwide charging partnerships, and Jeep suddenly has the reach to challenge Tesla where it's most vulnerable. But the implications don't stop there, because if Jeep's EVs take off, it puts enormous pressure on other legacy automakers too. Ford's electric Mustang Mach-E and F-150 Lightning have already struggled with demand fluctuations. GM's Chevy Blazer EV and Hummer EV are facing production delays. If Jeep swoops in with accessible, capable EVs that deliver real-world value, it could leapfrog both Ford and GM in the EV race, leaving Tesla as the only remaining giant to contend with. Jeep's bombshell isn't just shaking America, it's sending shockwaves across the global auto industry, especially in Europe and China, two of the most competitive EV battlegrounds. In Europe, where strict emissions rules and a push toward electrification are squeezing automakers, Jeep's timing couldn't be sharper. The European market has been dominated by brands like Volkswagen, Renault, and even newcomers like BYD, but many of their EVs lack the rugged identity that Jeep naturally brings to the table. Europeans love compact SUVs, and Jeep has the Renegade and Compass ready to electrify, positioning them as affordable alternatives in a segment hungry for fresh competition. In China, the world's largest EV market, Jeep's opportunity is even bigger. Chinese automakers like BYD, NIO, and XPeng are flooding the streets with competitively priced EVs, while Tesla has carved out a premium niche. Jeep, however, has the advantage of brand recognition. Chinese buyers already associate Jeep with adventure, freedom, and Western lifestyle. If Stellantis plays its cards right, launching localized Jeep EVs at aggressive price points, it could tap into an audience that wants something different from the cookie-cutter EV crossovers dominating the market. The challenge, of course, is China's brutal competition and government-backed local brands, but Jeep's global brand identity gives it a fighting chance. Then there's the ripple effect on global automakers like Toyota, Hyundai, and Volkswagen. Toyota, despite its hybrid dominance, has been painfully slow in rolling out pure EVs, and Jeep's aggressive push makes that hesitation look even riskier. Hyundai and Kia have made strong strides with models like the Ioniq 5 and EV6, but Jeep's rugged positioning could carve out a new category those sleek crossovers can't touch. Volkswagen, meanwhile, is pouring billions into its ID lineup, but Jeep's announcement could force them to rethink pricing strategies, especially if customers start demanding more features for less. Global dealers are already watching closely. In Europe, Jeep's distributor networks are preparing for what they expect will be a surge in demand once these new models hit. In markets like India and South America, where affordability matters even more, Jeep's strategy could turn it from a niche brand into a mainstream powerhouse. And if that happens, Stellantis doesn't just win in the US, it wins globally, turning Jeep into the centerpiece of its empire. The risks Jeep is taking with this gamble are enormous, and that's what makes this story so electrifying. On paper, slashing prices, boosting features, and going head-to-head with Tesla and Toyota looks like a masterstroke. But in practice, Stellantis is betting billions on a strategy that could either crown Jeep as the undisputed leader of SUVs and EVs, or leave it bleeding cash with no way back. One of the biggest risks is profitability. By undercutting rivals so aggressively, Jeep is sacrificing margins that automakers usually rely on to survive downturns. This might work in the short term if sales volumes explode, but if demand doesn't grow fast enough, Jeep could find itself moving more vehicles while actually making less money per unit. That's a dangerous game, especially in a high-cost environment where raw materials, batteries, and labor expenses are climbing. Then there's the risk of alienating Jeep's core audience. For decades, Jeep has cultivated a loyal following of off-road enthusiasts who see the brand as a lifestyle, not just a car purchase. By going mass market with price cuts and electrification, Jeep risks watering down that identity. Hardcore Jeep purists might see these moves as a betrayal of the rugged, no-compromise heritage they've always cherished. If Jeep loses that core community while failing to win enough new buyers, it could find itself in no man's land, too soft for the old fans, but not compelling enough for the new generation. Supply chain is another looming threat. Stellantis has already faced struggles with parts shortages and global logistics, and Jeep's new strategy requires flawless execution. If dealers advertise aggressive pricing but inventory doesn't arrive fast enough, customers will walk away frustrated, damaging trust in the brand. And if Stellantis tries to cut costs by sourcing cheaper components or shifting production overseas, it risks blowback from both workers and buyers who value Jeep's American roots. There's also the danger of sparking a full-blown price war. If Ford, GM, Toyota, and even Tesla decide to match Jeep's aggressive pricing, the entire industry could see profits collapse. Automakers are already stretched thin by EV investments and supply chain chaos, so a margin-killing battle could create chaos across the sector. Jeep might survive because it struck first, but smaller automakers or less adaptable ones could be driven out of certain markets entirely. That level of disruption could reshape the auto landscape in ways even Stellantis might not be prepared for. And let's not forget Wall Street. Investors love bold moves when they pay off, but they punish failure mercilessly. If Stellantis financial reports show shrinking profits despite higher sales, stockholders could revolt. That would put pressure on leadership to reverse course, undermining Jeep's strategy before it has time to fully play out. Consumer perception is the wild card that could either solidify Jeep's bold gamble or unravel it completely. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how aggressive the pricing is or how many features Jeep packs in, if customers don't believe in the brand's new direction, the strategy collapses. Automakers live and die by reputation, and Jeep knows it's walking a tightrope here. Early signals from buyers, though, are showing promise. Online buzz is strong, with many consumers calling Jeep's move refreshing in an era where automakers seem obsessed with squeezing every last dollar out of buyers. For families feeling priced out of the new car market, Jeep's announcement feels like an open door, almost like the brand is listening to their struggles in a way competitors are not. That emotional connection can be powerful, because it positions Jeep not just as a product, but as a brand that understands the moment. At the same time, skeptics are raising concerns. Some buyers wonder if the price cuts mean corners are being cut elsewhere. Will reliability suffer? Will the lower prices impact long-term resale values? For Jeep, overcoming this skepticism will be key, because the brand has already faced criticism in the past for quality issues compared to Toyota or Honda. If consumers start to associate Jeep's affordability with cheapness instead of value, the whole perception play could backfire. What's fascinating is how quickly this perception battle is spreading. Autoblogs, YouTube reviewers, and social media influencers are already weighing in, and their voices carry a lot of weight in shaping consumer confidence. A glowing review that frames Jeep as the best value in SUVs today could create a tidal wave of demand. But a critical review that says, Jeep is cutting prices because it can't compete on quality, could plant seeds of doubt that stall momentum. Jeep doesn't just need to win the pricing game, it needs to win the narrative. And here's another factor: younger buyers. Millennials and Gen Z are entering the car market in larger numbers, and their purchasing habits are very different from older generations. They're less brand loyal, more value-driven, and deeply influenced by tech features and environmental considerations. Jeep's push into electrification and its willingness to disrupt pricing could resonate strongly with these groups, but only if Jeep convinces them that the brand is modern, reliable, and forward-looking. If it pulls that off, Jeep could lock in a whole new generation of buyers who carry the brand for decades. And that's why Jeep's bombshell isn't just another headline, it's a turning point. The entire auto industry is now on edge, watching to see if this gamble reshapes the SUV and EV markets or crashes under its own weight. Consumers are rethinking what value really means, competitors are scrambling to respond, and global markets are bracing for ripple effects. Jeep has thrown down the gauntlet, and the shockwaves are only beginning. So here's the question. Do you think Jeep just changed the game for good, or is this a risky play that could backfire big? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because this is a conversation every car buyer and enthusiast should be part of. And if you want to stay ahead of every major shakeup in the auto world, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell, because what's coming next is going to be even bigger.